Welcome to my allotment. Today I'm going to be showing you around what I'm doing today and what I'm picking. If you've not already subscribed to my channel, if you could please do so, so you'll get lots of helpful hints and tips from my allotment, my home garden and also my home kitchen. So the first thing I've done today is I've picked my raspberries. Now I'm getting lots and lots of raspberries, so it's ideal that you come up here and you pick them every other day, otherwise they will go over. So really easy to freeze or make jam with, or just to put in smoothies. Lots of lovely ideas for those, or even give away as a treat to a friend. So as we move down, I'm not picking any rhubarb today because I picked it a lot the other day and it's looking a little bit bare. So I'm going to let it recover, and I'm actually going to be doing another video on that in a few days, which you can watch, about rhubarb and when to pick it and the rules regarding that. So if we move down, as you can see, the blackberries are starting to ripen. They're not ready to pick yet, but it won't be long and I'll be picking those. My cabbages are heartening up really well. I'm getting a little bit of slug damage, but nothing too major. I actually do need a cabbage today, so I'm going to pull one out to take home. So just pull the whole thing out, give it a good shake, and that will be coming home with me to make various dishes. I like making coleslaw, and it's really nice sautéed down with sesame seed oil. So as we move down, I've got kale, which I will be picking some of that today, and also chard's doing really well. As you can see, I kind of start picking and I gradually move along so it recovers. So I've been picking that, so there's not so much there, and I'll be picking the larger leaves so that you've got a constant supply. And I do the same with the kale. I kind of like work round. So by the time I get to where I started picking, each one's recovered. As you can see, my sweet corn, I gave it a good feed the other day, is actually starting to pick up, which is fantastic. So it's definitely been a little bit slow this year, but it's definitely looking a lot healthier than it was. So the leeks are coming on really well. Obviously I won't be digging those for quite some months, but they're looking good. And the onions, again, they're swelling out, which is what I would expect. They're not ready to pick yet because they've not started flopping over. So hopefully they'll start to swell out even more. Broad beans are looking good. Started picking a few already. So you're looking for ones like that. So the beans formed. If you can feel that the bean's quite firm in the pod, it's ready to pick. So you want to actually feel that the bean's in there and that it's not hollow. So they have actually filled out. You can pick them a little bit smaller if you want to. It's up to you, but obviously you get less bean if you start picking them when they're smaller. So I'm going to be picking a crop of those later. So as we move over, the dahlias are looking really lovely, and I'm going to be picking some of those today for a friend. So I will be picking some of these dahlias, and I will give you a top tip on how to get them home without them wilting. The lettuces are doing really well. So I'm going to be harvesting some of those. I'll just cut a few of the leaves off to take them home. I'll plunge them in cold water as soon as I get them home, otherwise they might wilt. And my beetroots are starting to swell out. So I could, if I wanted to, start to pick a few as baby beetroot. And in fact, I think I will. So I'll basically pick out the bigger ones, be careful not to pull others out with it. They obviously can get much bigger than that, but this is a really good way of thinning them out and letting the other ones fill out more as well. So pick out the ones that are about that size, and then the others will fill out and you'll have a constant supply. My parsnips have germinated far more successfully than I've ever had in the past. So I'm going to attempt to thin them out and to transplant a few, because I've got so many healthy plants, it seems a shame to lose them. Now, I've never had parsnips germinate this successfully, but my father-in-law assures me that I can thin these out and maybe plant them on somewhere else in my garden and they will still grow, but I've got to be really careful not to damage the taproot, so that's why I've got a fork. So I'm going to give a few a go, and we can all see how it happens over the coming months. So what I'm going to do is gently put my fork down into the ground just beside parsnips, being really just to loosen it. So I'm not digging them up, I'm just gently loosening it. As you can see, I've just created a bit of movement. So when I pull out a parsnip to transfer, it should hopefully come out really easily. So gently lift. I've got one there. I must admit that looks a bit of a stumpy one, so I might go for a different one. I pulled one out earlier and it was much better. There we go, that looks much better. So I'm going to replant that, and just by chance, not all my leeks took because I had the cheeky little birds having a go at them. So I thought I've got these little holes already there. I might as well use the holes I've got. Now actually, this is deeper than the leek hole, so I'm going to make my hole a bit bigger and deeper with my dibber and gently place it in the ground, and then I'm going to put some compost around it. And we'll see how it goes. So these would only have been thrown away and put on the compost. And seeing as I've got a gap, I might as well just give it a go really. I've got nothing to lose. So if you want to give the same a go and we can compare notes later on in the year, that would be really awesome. So I've obviously got quite a few of those to do, so I'll do those a little bit later. As you can see, I've picked a few more beetroot. So they're about the perfect size for baby beetroots. There's lots of different lovely things you can do with that. If all else, you could just peel them and grate them and have them on salad. And sometimes I just do that when I can't be bothered to do a recipe with them. But there are plenty of things you can do with beetroot, including roasting them. So as we move round, we've had lots of rain. So my courgettes are filling out nicely. So as you can see, I've got some real beauties there. A couple of days ago, they were really tiny, not much bigger than my finger. And now they're in a position where I can pick them. Just gently twist them from the bottom of the plant and take those off. And again, in here, same thing. I've got some that are really worth picking now. Very, very healthy, decent size. You can even use the blooms if you want to in cooking. Some really great recipes if you look online. Don't want to waste any bit of the plant, and if nothing else I could always give the flowers to my chickens. So my squashes are doing really well. If you want to take a look, these are spaghetti squash, so they're filling out nicely. They're not ready to pick yet, they need to go yellow, but they're filling out to a really, really lovely size, so that's really good. And I've got a few of those in there. I've also got some other squashes that are starting to fill out. Got a really nice beauty there, which is looking really lovely, and some others just in there that are all starting to do exactly what I would want them to do. Again, all squashes, these winter squashes, you're going to wait before you pick those, you know, around October time. You might find that the odd ones are ready sooner, but you definitely wouldn't be picking them now. Courgettes you pick, squashes and pumpkins you leave because they need to mature. Otherwise they won't taste very nice. I'm going to go down to the dahlias now and give you my top tip on dahlias. So this is a tip I learned only because I kept cutting my dahlias, getting them home, and they'd all be limp. So I take something with me to take them home in. So I keep like an old jam jar, fill it with water, and then when I cut my dahlias, I put them in them, so I've got something to transport them back. There's some people on our allotment and they actually show their dahlias, so they have great big buckets that they take theirs back in, but I don't show mine. Mine are just for cut flowers. So I cut mine, stick them in a jam jar. Works really well for me. The only thing you need to bear in mind is if you are travelling by car, you'll need another person to hold the vase. Often I walk up and I carry it back, so I can just hold the vase back. But that is one thing to bear in mind, because again, I've been caught out before on my own in the car. There's no way I can get a jam jar back in the car without it going over. But I really hope that that's been useful to you. And if you've got any questions or queries, please do put them in the comments and we will always do our best to answer them.